Blender for Noobs.
Hello, this is Dan Nobles and welcome to Blender for Noobs. And welcome to this video on how to make money with Blender 3D and actually how to make money with any 3D program that you might be using. So at some point you dived into the 3D world and you said, wow, this is really cool. This is for me. And if you're excited about creating things with 3D, if you know that excitement and you're excited about using Blender, then chances are it probably is something that you'd want to pursue trying to make money with, or at least do as a hobby. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with number one, and that is, I'll tell you just a quick little story. A long time ago, I was in a used bookstore when used bookstores were still around, and I saw a book on the shelf, and I wish I bought it, but the title of the book stuck in my name for all these years. And it's probably been something like a good 15 years or more. And the title of the book was called Do What You Love and Success Will Follow. And that title has stuck in my brain ever since I've seen that title. And I truly believe that. If you do something that you love, no matter what it is, you will be successful at it. And when we talk about success, you don't always have to talk about, oh, I'm making tons of money. Success can also be happiness. You might not make a ton of money or anything, but you may be very happy with what you're doing and therefore successful and satisfied. So under this first topic of do what you love and success will follow, first I want to say, find out what area of Blender you are most interested in, whether it be animation, modeling, compositing, or whatever is within the capabilities of Blender that you're most interested in, and pursue that. The reason I say that is, for me, I'm all over the place. I mostly love modeling, but I like to dabble in some animation. I like to look at the other features in Blender and try to learn that. If I was to try, focus and decide which area is most interesting to me, if there was one, then that's what I would do. Now, that's not to say you couldn't be a jack of all trades, but in order to try to make money with Blender, you're going to have to try to hone your skills in specific areas, at least to start out with. Next, you want to think about, is Blender just a hobby that you're happy with, or do you really want to pursue something more professional in it and try to make some money with it? If it's just a hobby and you're happy with that, I'm going to say don't try to make money with it. Don't force yourself to say, oh, I'm doing this anyway, so, let's go ahead and see if I can get some bucks out of this. You will kill your passion for Blender or any other 3D program if you're not really wanting to pursue that type of thing. If it's just a hobby, stick with that and keep doing that, because that's great. The next thing you want to consider is, if you do want to make money with this, do you want to do it full-time or part-time? You definitely want to know which way you want to go on that. If you're going to make money with it part-time, of course you're going to need a normal job or a day job or whatever you want to call it, and then just move forward with your Blender endeavors on a part-time basis. Now, if you're thinking about, I want to do this full-time, it's so great, I love it, I want to do this full-time and I want to make money at it and I want to be, do this for a living. If you are thinking that, I'm going to tell you right now, and I don't want to scare you, but you've got to go for it full force. You've got to get your skill set up to par. You've got to do everything that you can do in almost like a life and death situation in order to make a living with this. The reason for that is, because 3D is so cool and a lot of people are very interested in it, there's a lot of competition out there. So how do you go that route? Well, next up, number two, is I'm going to say build up your skill set. After you found out what area of Blender or whatever 3D package you're looking at, what area you want to go into, then do everything within your power to bring your skills up to the highest level you can get them. Take tutorials, take training, even if you need to go to some sort of university or, community college or specialized tech school in order to learn the skills that you need, whatever you need to do for your skill set, you need to build that up. Next, number 3, and this is, this could be done probably while you're building up your skill set, is create a portfolio. You need to try, create something where you can show people what you've accomplished and what you're capable of accomplishing. But when you're creating your portfolio, you want to try to stand out from the crowd as much as possible. You want to rise above as much as possible. You want to be the cream of the crop, in other words, so that people can see, when they look at something, you want to amaze them. You want to show that, what you have to offer is so much more than what, something else they might have seen. So you want to put your best work forward. So when you're building your portfolio, how can you start to build this? Well, get yourself involved in projects. This can be personal projects that you do. You can also offer your free services to projects that you find out there, and try to find the highest profile projects that you can get involved with. For example, suppose you build up your skill set and you're good enough to offer your services to one of the Blender Foundation CGI short films. What if you were able to get on a project like that? Well, that would be a pretty good thing to put in your portfolio, don't you think? But even if you're not able to achieve something like that, achieve as high as you can, the most high profile thing that you can find out there. You can get involved with filmmakers out on the web that are needing, CGI shots for their films, whatever you can do in order to get some work under your belt. And the reason I say, offering your free services at first is because a lot of times, when you're first starting out, and they don't know who you are, then you can get involved with some projects. And a lot of these projects that you get involved with, nobody's getting paid anyway. They're trying to create something on their own. They're using their own resources and money to do it. And if you come along and say, well, I'm going to get paid for this, they may say, well, sorry, if I'm the director and I'm not getting paid, then the CGI artist is not going to get paid either. But, if you find a paying job, that's great. And you have the level of skill in order to do that, then go for it. But just do everything you can to, create some content for yourself to add to your portfolio. So number 4, once you have your skills and your portfolio in line, here are some possibilities on moving towards in your 3D career. And this is broken up into basically 2 types of career paths. And that would be, you could be a freelance 3D artist, or you could be a professional 3D artist. And I hate to use that word professional 3D artist in, versus freelance 3D artist, because if you become a freelance 3D artist and you move forward in that path, then of course you're a professional. But when I say professional 3D artist, I mean, working for an effects house or something that, you're working for someone who's giving you a paycheck rather than going out on your own and drumming up business and whatever. So let's talk about freelance 3D artists for a second. When you think about a freelance 3D artist, again, your portfolio is very important. So you want to have that in line. You need to stand out. So again, whatever you're creating, you want to put your best work forward, and you want to have it somewhere where it's easily accessible. So probably you'll want to have a website, or search for a website that offers the ability to post your portfolio on there. Just something where you can, point a potential employer to see what you've done. If at all possible, you should advertise your services. Some of the things that pop into mind is Craigslist, Monster.com, things like that. A lot of the 3D artist forums have areas that are offering paid jobs to 3D artists, or where you can advertise your services. And in fact, I think blenderartist.org has a area where they post possible jobs for 3D artists. Next, you want to build your clientele. If you've done freelance work for an employer, then you want to make sure that when you deal with these people, you're professional and the experience is a good one for them. That way, when they need something more, they will come back. And not only will they come back, they will tell others of your abilities. And a lot of times the work that you do for them can be used in your portfolio as, hey, look at this. I've already been working in the real world for people who have bought my services. So, even if you work for someone and that person or that employer never comes back and gets your services again, you don't know that. I mean, you always want to treat them in the best way possible, just like, they're going to come back again and again, and you're going to work together with them. So the next thing is online versus the real world. I'm going to say that you wouldn't want to separate this as far as your career as a freelance artist. You would want to pursue online work as much as real world work. The reason for that is you don't want to limit yourself and your opportunities. So what else can you do as a freelance artist? Well, you can sell your models and other 3D services online. For example, you could sell on sites such as turbosquid.com and the 3dstudio.com. What you normally do with sites like this is you can sign on for free, create your account for free, and upload your models to that site. You have to pay attention to their guidelines and how to do that. But you put your models up there and you sell them, and you get a certain percentage of the sale. And a lot of times when 3D artists first encounter these type of sites, they're kind of outraged when they see, this site wants 50% of the money and they're only going to give me half of it back. What's the deal there? Well, you have to think that they are providing that site globally to the world to advertise your product. So you have to decide, when you look at these different sites, is the percentage that they are often offering, is that agreeable to you, or do you want to try to do something else? Now, I do have some models on turbosquid.com. I don't have an extremely large inventory of models, but I have had some success with selling models on TurboSquid. And I'm not going to say that, I make a lot of money on it. I probably would say that I make enough to pay for gas every month. But again, if I was a person who could focus on only creating models and doing that all day long, I think I could build up a pretty good inventory and might even actually be able to make a substantial income from it. I know that there are people that do that, but they have a very large inventory of very high quality items. Another possibility of offering your services is Fiverr.com. Fiverr.com is pretty interesting because you go there and you look for things, and you can get all kinds of different services for $5. Well, yes and no. A lot of things you can get for $5, but a lot of things that you look at, when I looked into Fiverr.com and people that were selling their skills and creating models or whatever in the 3D world, they are, it's not just $5. It's you contact them and you let them know what you want, and then it's a number of $5 that you have to pay to get those services. So that's another avenue that you could check out and see what others are doing, and consider the possibilities of what you have to offer there. So that's kind of models and 3D services online. Another possibility is sell prints of your artistic 3D scenes. You can do this by sites like deviantart.com. There's iStockPhoto.com. And also, I recently got a notification from TurboSquid that they're getting into the stock image business. So that could be a possibility there as well. And then if you're putting stuff on something like deviantart.com or one of these sites, and you're getting a lot of great feedback and you're getting some success there, it may behoove you to step out of the online a little bit, or not out of it, but also go into the real world and start trying some prints in the real world. Because if you have something that people are interested in and you see a really good response from it, then that's a good indication that, hey, I might be able to expand my my business a little bit here. Okay, so that's what I have kind of under the freelance 3D artist thing. And now let's talk about the professional 3D artist, which is, like I said, working for someone else, being constantly employed as a 3D artist. Again, when you're starting out and you're following that path, your portfolio is very important. You want to build that up so that you have some, really eye-popping stuff there that will impress a potential employer. So you need to stand out. And I'm going to say that formal education would probably be a pretty good must for something like this. Definitely, if anybody has any experience with this, definitely comment and let me know. But I'm going to say if an employer is interviewing somebody or looking for a new 3D artist doing pretty much the same, in the same area that you're working in, who are they going to hire? Are they going to hire the guy that, has the great stuff but has the formal education also? Or are they going to hire the guy that just has the great stuff? They both have great stuff, but this guy's got a formal education. He went to a technical school that taught 3D. So, yeah, the other guy's kind of rising up, to the top, isn't he? At least that's what I would think. Also, if you're going to follow this path as a professional 3D artist working for someone, I'm going to say, unfortunately, that although, Blender is great, you're probably going to want to go down a path of something like 3ds or Maya to pursue this path. Blender is working its way into the industry. There's more and more houses that are starting to see the potential of using this free package. But as far as I know, 3ds and Maya still dominate this area as far as, being a hired paid professional for something like this. So Blender is going to be something that, it's great that you have that in your background, but I think you're going to need the skills for these other 3D packages that are used in the industry. So that's working as a freelance or professional 3D artist. So number 5, I'm going to say another possibility in making money in 3D is provide other services. What do I mean by that? Well, what if you had the ability or you had this idea to create a really, really cool render farm? There's some render farms out there, but maybe you want to be competitive. You want to do it a little bit different, make it easier for the users, and you want to go that route. I mean, you could create something like that. Maybe you had a great idea for a website. There's things like Blend Swap. Maybe there's different needs out there that haven't been explored yet. So that's another way you can make money with 3D, providing a service rather than actually, creating the content yourself. So number 6, another way to make money with Blender 3D or other 3D is provide training. And there's a few ways you can provide training. And one of the ways you can do that is do YouTube training or YouTube tutorials, which is what I do, part of the time anyway. I didn't start out creating the tutorials to make any money with doing it. I just did it. I started creating tutorials back on another channel because I was watching a lot of tutorials and I thought, I could explain that so much better than what they did here. Not saying that I'm any better than any other guy that does tutorials out there, but I just wanted the chance to try to do that to help people out. So once I started doing that, I thought, I kind of like this. It's pretty cool. So remember what I said, do what you love and success will follow? Well, so I started doing that and I created enough where people showed enough interest that I thought, you know what, I'm going to create a YouTube channel just for this. And I'm going to concentrate my efforts for that on this channel. Now, as far as the money making, I'm going to say, again, I'm probably only making enough for gas during the week, if that. So if you're looking for a full-time, doing tutorials as a full-time job, it's not going to happen. But it's definitely, if you enjoy something like that, I'd say go for it. Another way to provide training is create DVDs. Say that you want to create a set of DVDs to explain how to use Blender from start to finish, or maybe you want to just explain animation. Now, there's already a lot of that stuff out there, or maybe I shouldn't say a lot, but there's definitely training courses like that available. But maybe you have a different idea or a better way to do it. So that's a possibility. Another way is interactive training. And I'm going to use the example Google Helpouts for this, where, somebody has a problem that they need help with, or they want to learn how to do something, and you can get online and help them out, and they can pay you a little bit of money for it. When I first saw Google Helpouts, I thought, I might try that. But the problem for me is time. the availability. It's like I've got so much stuff that I'm working on and so much stuff that I'm doing, not just Blender, but in my life, along with my full-time job and everything else, that it's like I kind of shied away from it because I thought, you know, if if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to be available for the person. I don't want to say, yeah, I'll help you, and then, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be there or whatever. But anyway, that's interactive training is something to consider. Another one is real-world training. And something I just recently thought of, there's a community college here that you can actually teach courses for. And I thought, you know, that would be really cool to create a Blender course and teach it to a class. And I want to do that. Again, time is something that I have to consider. But that's another thing that you can think about is offering a real-world training class. You're not going to get tons of money for doing something like that, but it can be rewarding if you like to do something, you know, if you like training people or doing tutorials, then that may be something that is sort of you would want to branch out to. So after all that, and I've probably rambled on a lot more than what I intended to, like I normally do. I try to keep things short, but somehow it just keeps going and going. But anyway, number 7 is I want to say, what did I leave out here? I'm sure that there's other possibilities in making money with 3D. What are your experiences, if you have any, and how did you make money with 3D? What suggestions can you give to help people just starting out on this path in order to make advances in the 3D world? And finally, number 8, same as number 1, again, do what you love and success will follow. Thanks for listening and watching. Please comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.